A very good Saturday evening. This is the weekend edition of Primetime News. I'm Zola Outskoon. Let's start off with a look at the headlines. Government is committed towards creating an impartial and independent judiciary. Statement from the President. When will punishments be enforced for the bond scam? Questions raised by the Anti-Corruption Front. State Minister Dilan Pereira comments on corruption of the government. Bar Association election to be held on the 15th of March. A life on the line due to a case of mistaken identity. First up in news from the President's diary this evening. The government is committed towards creating an impartial and independent judiciary. President Maithripala Sirisena made this statement in Polonnaruwa today while commenting on the pressure exerted by the former government on the judiciary.
President Maithripala Sirisena laid the foundation stone for the new courts complex proposed to be constructed in Polonnaruwa. Minister of Justice Vijayasa Rajapaksa, Chief Justice Keshri Pawan and several others were among those present at the occasion.
Maithripala Sirisena, the President of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Belarus.
මම කෘෂිකර්මයමති කාලේ මට මතකයි කොළඹ ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන්ම නුගේගොඩ ප්‍රදේශයේ.
When I was serving as the Minister of Agriculture, I recall a request made by a lady to fill 5 acres of paddy land located in Nugegoda. She went to court and then to the Supreme Court. The Commissioner of Agrarian Services informed the Supreme Court that under this Act, such an operation cannot be done. This took place in 2007. The then Chief Justice chaired the bench and he told to disregard the Act and permit the filling of the 5 acres of land. That is how verdicts were delivered back then. A former Chief Justice was stripped of her title because of the Divinaguma Act. As Minister of Health, I prepared the Drugs Act and that disappeared at once. I questioned the head of the legal draftsman why this is taking so long while the Divinaguma Act was done in a matter of weeks. The response that I received was that the Divinaguma Act was not prepared by them. Rather, it was prepared and sent to them. They had approved it and sent it to the Attorney General. We have put an end to the issue of bringing international judges to the country.
ජාත්‍යන්තර වශයෙන් විදේශීය විනිශ්චයකාරවරු මේ රටට ගෙන්වන්නට ඕනේ කියලා තිබුණු ප්‍රශ්න අධිකරණ ශාස්ත්‍රයේ ඉදිරි ප්‍රවර්ධනය සඳහා විශේෂයෙන්ම වඩාත් උසස් ප්‍රමිතියකින් සහ ගුණාත්මක අධිකරණ සේවයක් මේ රටේ ඇති කරන්න අපි රජයේ විදියට සෑම විටම කැප වෙන බව ප්‍රකාශ කරන්න ඕනේ.
කාලයක් තිස්සේ තිබුණු චෝදනාත් එක්ක රටේ තිබුණු ජරා ජීර්ණ වෙච්ච දේශපාලන සංස්කෘතියත් එක්ක
we have passed the era where allegations were leveled at the judiciary and when it was in shoddy state. This is what led to the people losing faith in the judiciary. It is because this very reason that there was an external pressure for international judges. We did not accept it back then. We do not accept it now. And we will not accept it in the future. You are aware that an independent judiciary functions in the country. Who are making allegations regarding the judiciary? The rulers who engaged in a ruffian form of governance where they held a kangaroo court for the former Chief Justice and organized milk rice dances so that she could not even open the gates to her house. These are the persons making these allegations against us. Persons who appointed the sons of their relatives to the positions of justices rather than appointing those who topped the competitive examinations for magistrates are the ones making these allegations. All I can say that the only way for such persons to track down who destroy the independence of the judiciary is by going before the mirror. We have experiences. When we were serving as lawyers, an intelligence officer or a lawyer attached to the presidential secretariat would come to the court and see which lawyer and judge is working against the government. They report it immediately. We have passed such an era.
බුද්ධ්‍යංශේ නිලධාරියෙක් හෝ ජනාධිපති ලේකම් කාර්යාලයට අනුබද්ධ නීතිඥවරයෙක් දිනපතා අධිකරණයට ඇවිල්ලා බලනවා මොන විනිශ්චයකාරවරයාද මොන නීතිඥවරයාද ආණ්ඩුවට එරෙහිව කුමන හෝ ප්‍රකාශයක් කරන්න ඒක හැන්දෑවට වාර්තා කරනවා. එහෙම තිබුණු තත්වයක් එහෙම තිබුණු යුගයක් අපි පහු කරා.
Senior banker Rusiri Palathenekun says that priority should be given to identify the real culprits behind the bond scam rather than looking for who issued the extraordinary gazette that has been issued. Now on Thursday, the Presidential Commission to investigate the bond issue adjourned the session until Monday as the extraordinary gazette published on the 1st of January 2015 was challenged before the Commission. When the Presidential Commission of Inquiry to investigate and inquire into the issuance of treasury bonds convened on Thursday, attorneys representing the Attorney General's Department pointed out the extraordinary gazette published on the 1st of January 2015 had hinted on the issuance of bonds to take place later that year. It was also noted that the gazette had been published bearing the signature of the then Minister of Finance Mahinda Rajapaksa by virtue of powers vested in him by the Registered Stock and Securities Ordinance. When inquired about that matter, the Secretary to the Ministry of Finance said he was not aware of such a gazette. The Commission adjourned its sessions to Monday, ordering for a report from the government printer.
I am currently seeking legal advice to file cases against the Ministry of Finance and the Central Bank. After the 9th, I was not the Minister of Finance. Therefore, I am hoping to file cases against this. The bond issue took place on the 25th of February. The Gazette was announced on the 15th of September 2015. Whose signature does it bear? In the village, we call them the next level rogues. They are trying to say that Mahinda Rajapaksa committed the bond scam.
The Anti-Corruption Front today called on former President Mahinda Rajapaksa to file a police complaint against the central bank officials, the Secretary of the Ministry of Finance and the Finance Minister if he had not signed an impunged gazette that set up the controversial bond sale. In a statement, Kirti Tennakoon, consultant of the Anti-Corruption Front, said he did not believe Rajapaksa had issued the gazette relating to the central bank bond scam, which is considered as the largest financial fraud to have ever taken place in the history of the country.
රුපියල් දශලක්ෂ දසදහස් 58ක බැඳුම් කර මිලදී ගන්නවා.
According to this Gazette paper, it is evident that they knew the bonds for 1,10,058 rupees will be accepted at an interest rate of 12.5%. This is not something that can take place. The purchase value is usually an approximate value. You cannot predict the exact value of the interest rate. No expert can do that. When the documentation with regard to the bond was being put together, Mahinda Rajapaksa was not the finance minister. As per the normal process, the deputy governor on behalf of the CBSL must notify the ministry secretary. The secretary of the Ministry of Finance is the person who would get the signature of the minister. The signature for an event that took place in March 2015 should be obtained by the Minister of Finance, who was holding office at that time, and not the previous finance minister. It is clear that they are trying to make the public believe that former President Mahinda Rajapaksa is connected to the bond scam. This is a cunning act to get that idea across. There is a possibility that the attention can be drawn away from the real culprits of the bond scam because of this.
ඒ තුලින් මේ බැඳුම් කර වංචාවේ සැබෑ සොරුන්ගේ අවධානය වෙනතකට යොමු කිරීමේ ක්‍රියාවලිය සිද්ධ කරන්නට පුළුවන් වෙලා තිබෙනවා.
Government printer Gangani Kalpani Lianage stated that the report with regard to the extraordinary gazette in question has been prepared and that it will be produced to the Presidential Commission of Inquiry on Monday. She added that the Commission has raised several questions with regard to the extraordinary gazette notification and that the answers have been included in the report. Newsfirst also inquired about the matter from the Secretary of the Presidential Commission, Sumatipala Udugam Surya. Udugam Surya stated that a decision can be reached once the report of the government printer is produced before the Commission on Monday.
What we must understand is that the investigation was for the purpose of determining and finding out whether any irregularity has taken place in the bond issues in the central bank, and also whether there has been any favorizations by any party towards any particular party. And also there was another basic, very important factor, whether there has been a loss to the government and to the central bank by this action, by the various actions that was taken during this bond issue. The question of the gazette notification, as to who has issued it and for what purpose it has been issued, is totally irrelevant as far as we can see, and we hope that it will not be a sort of a deviation from the main theme of the terms of reference of the Presidential Commission. So therefore, the country is waiting to see why, whether this has been some kind of a pressure some tactic used by somebody to deviate from the main investigation process.
Whether the gazette notification is right or wrong, the bond issuance remains a scam.
Still on to headline making news this evening. Now, State Minister Dilan Pereira attended a public rally in Haliala in the Badula area today.
Harin Fernando is attempting to bring in Google Loon and grant unrestricted access to new technology to everyone in the country. There are individuals attached to various commissions in air-conditioned rooms in Colombo who are blocking these attempts. He had recently said that he could do it, but certain individuals are blocking it. There is someone called Muhundan. He is notorious for accepting commissions. At a time when the president is forging ahead with his plans to get rid of fraud and corruption, there are those who want to block his path. There are certain persons in the government itself who are protecting individuals responsible for the largest theft in the country, the central bank bond scam. The president then appointed a commission to nab these rogues. What happened in it? There were statements made that Mahinda Rajapaksa signed some sort of document which led to such actions taking place during his time as well. They are trying to rationalize the scam by saying that this is normal procedure.
එනිසා ඒ කාලේ ඉඳලම මෙහෙම දේවල් සිද්ධ වුණා. ඒ නිසා මේ සිද්ධ වෙච්ච මහ බැංකු හොරකම සාමාන්‍ය ක්‍රියාපටිපාටියේ දෙයක් හැටියට පෙන්වන්න දැන් වෙන බයිලාවක් ගන්න.
Fraud that took place during the time of the UPFA government should be looked into. However, Mahinda Rajapaksa is not connected to the bond scam. Now they are starting to create a fairy tale in broad daylight to protect these rogues. We need to identify these tricksters. These are the same persons who are sabotaging the efforts of Harin Fernando in relation to Google Loon.
Google බැලුනේ ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීමේදී හරින් පණාන්න ඇමතුමාට කොල්ලලා.
Shifting your attention to some weather news now, arid weather continues to impact many lives across 16 districts. The Disaster Management Centre says that around 895,000 individuals from 227,440 families across the island are severely affected due to the arid weather.
Since May last year, the island has been experiencing a dry spell despite intermittent showers in some areas. However, the rainfall received was not sufficient to bring an end to the drought. Locals in Putlam, who mainly depend on agriculture and fishing, continue to face the brunt of the dry weather. With water levels in tanks dropping, many farmlands that rely on them have also been destroyed. Farmers in many areas have been compelled to look on as the dry weather destroys their cultivations right before their eyes. Persons who have lost their only means of income can be seen collecting cow dung in order to be sold.
We conducted agricultural activities, but that withered away. So now we collect cow dung for a living. We made bricks for a living, but we cannot do that anymore. We did farming as well. The lands have withered away. So my wife and I collected dung.
The Ministry of Disaster Management announced that it is in the process of preparing a mechanism to provide compensation for the cultivations that have been destroyed across the island. It added that the respective secretariats are estimating the damages and compensation for a period of 4 months starting from March will be provided to the farmers. 10,000 rupees is to be granted as compensation for an acre of paddy land destroyed by the drought. The Ministry of Disaster Management said that compensation will also be provided for other cultivations also destroyed by the drought. As cultivations perish in the face of the drought, similarly, people in many areas are having difficulty in obtaining clean drinking water. Due to the lack of water, people from many villages in Kirinda have been forced to travel for miles in search of water.
සමහර දවසට වීල් අල්ලගෙන මේ වෙන තැනවලට ගිහිල්ලා තමයි වතුර අරන් එන්නේ ළමයි නාවන්න එක්කන් යන්නේ එමෙදේම සමහර දවසට මේ ඉස්කෝලේට දිවත් හොදන්න ළමයින්ගේ වතුර නැහැ.
Dry weather has also impacted the generation of hydroelectricity. The Ministry of Power and Energy says water levels have dropped to 31% at reservoirs that generate hydropower. It adds that less than 6% of the total daily generation of power is being generated through hydropower. The Department of Meteorology says that southern and Uva provinces can expect a rainfall tomorrow, adding that some areas could experience a rainfall of 75 millimeters.
You're tuned on to Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, News First. Still in local news now, the election of office bearers for the Bar Association of Sri Lanka will take place on the 15th of March.
The decision was reached following a special meeting of the Executive Committee of the BASL. The Bar Association of Sri Lanka has decided to hold the elections on the 15th of March following amendments to the BASL constitution. We hope to have the elections with the assistance of the judges. If they do not support us based on the new constitutional amendments, the elections will take place on the 15th of March with the Solicitor General presiding over as the selection officer.
3 persons were injured in an attack that took place early this morning at the Pol-Atupitiya junction in Kurunegala.
The assault that took place between 1 and 2 a.m. today was captured on CCTV cameras installed nearby. Our correspondent said that a group who was having a meal at an eatery at Pol-Atupitiya junction was attacked.
There were 2 cars, one white and one black. Around 8 persons got out with steel rods in their hands. There was a group having a meal there. The 2 parties were not connected and have not quarreled with each other. All of a sudden, they launched an attack and damaged the shop. When the villagers began coming in, the vehicles sped off. It took only 4 minutes to happen. It happened at around 1:55 this morning.
The injured were rushed to the Kurunegala Teaching Hospital. A spokesperson for the hospital said that 1 victim was in critical condition.
I don't know why we were attacked. They are from the Gatuan area and we can identify them. Police recorded a statement and we call on the police to arrest them. We don't know why they attacked us.
The assailants who arrived in a new car had attacked a group of youth from the Pol-Atupitiya area. Police suspect that the attack was a case of mistaken identity. No arrests have been made as yet. However, the police noted that they have identified the assailants. Police said the suspects have already fled the area.
Sand racketeers from Villagala in Kakirava have launched an assault on surrounding houses and individuals.
Police said the racketeers had launched the attack at around 10 last night. 2 persons injured in the attack are being treated at the Dambulla Base Hospital. Our correspondent said that several houses were damaged in the attack. Recently, the police special task force raided an illegal sand extraction site in the Valliyaggal area. Locals suspect that the racketeers may have launched the attack believing that the villagers tipped off the police STF. The police has launched investigations into the incident.
Now, wildlife officials are currently engaging in a trade union action based on several demands. Field officers and wildlife officials are engaging in a trade union action since last Thursday based on several demands including obtaining a 6,000 rupee allowance first and a salary increment. The wildlife officials are also protesting against newly introduced uniforms for their field work. We made several requests for discussions with the Minister of Sustainable Development and Wildlife. He is yet to give us an opportunity to discuss our issues. Our first demand was to grant a decent salary for the field officers. Their salaries are on the same scale as other government department officials. Increasing the salaries of these officials means that the salaries of all state sector and administrative grade employees should be increased. The Commission will not agree to this. At present, we are being given the salary of management level state sector employees. We have decided to do our duties accordingly. If we do that, our duty time will be restricted to 8 hours. I would like to ask these officials whether it is possible to restrict the duty time of a wildlife official to 8 hours. Do poachers go hunting only during the duty time of 8 hours? Do elephants attack villagers only during 8 hours? If they are trying not to wear the uniform, then we must make wearing the uniform compulsory. Even I don't know who they are. How are we to differentiate between ordinary people and an official? Disciplinary action will be taken against those who do not wear the uniform that was agreed upon and approved through the circular. Every year we are given uniforms of different colors. This is the green uniform which we got in 2015. This is what we were given in 2016. Look at the color. I would like to ask those officials as to how they change colors every year. We ask for a uniform that is equal to all. State Minister Ron Vijayawardene speaking in Kadabata says the former government leaders must be held accountable over the assassinations and assaults of journalists.
හමුදාව අපහසුවට පත් කරලා තියනවා නම් තියන්නේ ඉතින් දා රජයේ හිටපු නායකයන් ටික තමයි.
If the military has been put into a position of inconvenience, it was because of the former heads of government. Journalists like Keith Noor, Poddala Jayantha, Lasantha Vikramatunga and many others were either assassinated or assaulted. We have been investigating those incidents. We made that promise to the people during the presidential election and general election. The then government used some of the military personnel to fill their political ambitions. They were misused, and now it is those personnel who have to pay for those sins. We are disappointed because the former leaders must be held accountable for these actions. The state minister also commented on the incident where the Batticaloa district director of the LRC was shot at by an unknown gunman. We must not make room for state officials to face such incidents. Therefore, the police has been instructed to probe the matter and take necessary legal action. The new Seva PSA bill for the Ganga Siripura area in Thesamaharama was vested with the public today by Minister of Housing and Construction Sajid Premadasa. This centre was established with the welfare of 15,000 villagers in the Hambantota district under the village-to-village, door-to-door concept. We are managing the economy of the country amidst a mountain of debt. If we have no revenue to pay the debt and the interest, imagine the situation we will be in. If someone says that nothing was done, that is a lie. For the first time, state employees received a 10,000 rupee increment. Samurdhi benefits were increased by 200%. An American national living in Sri Lanka has died after falling off a tree.
Bruce Edward Pedros, a 52-year-old father of one from California, USA, first came to Sri Lanka for a vacation. He had come to Sri Lanka 9 years ago and extended his tourist visa to live in the country. He thereafter got married to a resident of Gampola, purchased a house and settled in the area. Our correspondent said that at the time of his demise, he had been living alone in the house with his 2.5-year-old child. 2 hours after his death, the body was handed over to the Kandy General Hospital for the post-mortem examination. The child is currently under the care of the Gampola police, and it has been decided to send the body to the United States through the US Embassy in Colombo.
The Minister of Education has instructed officials to enforce a 1-year ban on any player who acts in an undisciplined manner during school big matches and inter-school rugby matches. Now, Sunil Jayavira, a special consultant to the Ministry of Education on sports and physical education, said disciplinary action will be taken against all sportsmen, sportswomen, coaches and teachers who breach discipline during their school inter-sports tournaments.
If students are engaged in such acts, those students will face a 1-year ban from the sport. This ban will not be restricted to just school-level sports. The Minister of Education, Akhila Viraj Karyavasam, and the Secretary have given the instruction, and we hope to strictly act upon it. Under the directive of the Minister of Education, the principals of all schools that host big matches were summoned for a special meeting to ensure that the games go ahead without any conflict. The principals were also informed to organize a special disciplinary and security committee for the respective schools comprising of students, past pupils or parents. If these instructions are not followed, the ministry will take strict action against the violators.
Tonight we wrap up the weekend edition of News First with a thrill for Formula One enthusiasts. Now, Ferrari racing driver Kimi Raikkonen took the team's new car, the SF70X, for an installation lap or tour around the Fiorano test track after earlier revealing the car online. We leave you tonight with footage of the Iceman in the fast lane. Good night. Take care.